Welcome back. We're in 64b. When we write the polar form of a rectangular, a vector, all right, we have the hypotenuse is 4 and the angle of degree is 30. The polar form is 4 with an angle of 30. And the rectangular form is going to be the length of A and the length of B in regards to the right triangle that's given in the coordinate plane. So here we have the x-axis. The length along the x-axis is 2 times the square root of 3, and we would write that with a hooded I, and then the height being 2 would be written as plus 2 hooded j. So that is when we have regular rectangular coordinates or a regular coordinate system. That's how we'd write the rectangular form and the polar form. Now if we have a complex number, let's say we have that exact same triangle, but it's a complex situation, notice that we put the I with the complex height, and there are no hooded variables at all. We write the x term plus or minus, depending on where it's located, the I term, so up or down. That is the rectangular form of a complex vector. The polar form of a complex vector takes the hypotenuse times the cosine of the degree plus, or takes 4 times the sum of the cosine of the degree of measure plus I times the sine of the degree of measure. And for shorthand, we write it as 4 cosine I sine, and then the degree of measure. So the hypotenuse, CIS, which stands for all of this, and the degree of measure, which is substituted in to these locations here after the cosine and the sine. But that is what that stands for. And this is the form that we're going to use the most often. We'll do a couple of little practice problems to give you a trial run on how to write this. Now, when you type this into the system, you are going to type it in the way it looks. The hypotenuse, and then a space, CIS, a space, and then the degree of measure. Okay? When you do the rectangular form, you're going to type it exactly the way you see it is now, the way you would normally type it, which is just the number, square root of 3, plus number and I, all together with no spaces. All right, so that is what I had for 64b to illustrate. There's really not any new math to learn so much as just new formats. So let's try a couple of those and we'll do the last part of lesson 64.